It's Wayne here. It's week 4 of Lockdown Film Club. I hope you're keeping well. And week 4 means it's my turn to choose a film from our list of also rounds for us to watch this week. And I have chosen Michael Powell and Emmerich Persberger's brilliant 1944 film, A Canterbury Tale. Like last week's film Casablanca, Canterbury Tale is set and filmed during World War II. And also like Casablanca, it takes place away from the main field of battle. So there's our link between the two films. But whereas Casablanca is very Hollywood, A Canterbury Tale is very British, even English or parochial even, and was very much part of the British war effort. Just to elaborate upon that, I'm going to read an extract from Michael Powell's excellent autobiography, A Life in Movies, where he discusses how they came up, the concept behind A Canterbury Tale. When we made the film in the summer and autumn of 1943, the theme seemed to us to be an important one. In 1940, with 49th parallel, we had told the Americans we were fighting their war as well as ours. In 1941, with one of our aircraft is missing, we had told the world that Europe would never be conquered. In 1942, with Colonel Blimp, we had said that Britain would never be conquered. In 1943, with A Canterbury Tale, we were explaining to the Americans and to our own people the spiritual values and the traditions we were fighting for. Just to break away from Powell for a moment, to continue that list, we've got Blimp, Canterbury Tale, 44, and then 1945, I Know Where I'm Going, 1946, A Matter of Life and Death, 1947, Black Narcissus, and 1948, The Red Shoes. All I'm saying is that's a very impressive purple patch there for Powell and Pressburger. Back to Powell. To say what we had to say, we invented the character of an American soldier who was training in England for D-Day. In this way, he would encounter the English with all their prides and prejudices. I don't know which of us first used the phrase a modern pilgrim, but I'm certain it was I, who had walked the Pilgrim's Way many times, who suggested that he should be a pilgrim to Canterbury. And with a nod to Chaucer, we proposed to call the film A Canterbury Tale. In the role of the American soldier, they cast a guy called John Sweet, Sergeant John Sweet, who was an actual American soldier based in England, and was starring in a USO production of Thornton Wilder's Our Town. And it was the Ministry of Information who recommended to Michael Powell that he should go and check out the production, which he did when it arrived in London. And he cast John Sweet as the American soldier, and the American army gave him permission to take however long it was, a couple of months or something, off from the army to appear in this film. It was his first and I think his only film role. He didn't stay in acting afterwards, and you can perhaps see why. He's probably the weakest link in the film. But you do cut him quite a lot of slack because the film and his performance is very charming, and it just fits with the kind of the quaint innocence of the film as a whole. The other roles, he wanted to cast Deborah Kerr and Robert Livesey, who both appeared in the previous years The Life and Death of Colonel Blimp. Roger Livesey, who read the part of the Squire, Culpeper, and decided he didn't like the part. He found it distasteful apparently, and turned it down. Deborah Kerr, slightly more complicated. She was seeing Michael Powell at the time, and had also just been offered a contract with MGM. Michael Powell gave her an ultimatum: either you go to Hollywood of MGM or stay with me and make it. I'm not sure why. It doesn't seem much of an ultimatum. It seems like it's up to her there, which she did indeed choose to go to Hollywood. Took the MGM contract. Michael Powell the very next day went and married the other woman he was seeing at the same time, whose name I can't remember, so apologies to the other woman. And he married her in a registry office the very next day after Deborah Kerr turned down the part. So the role of the land girl went to Sheila Sim in the end, and the other Pilgrim part went to Dennis Price, who we last saw at Film Club in Kind Hearts and Coronets. All three of those people, it was their debut film roles, and the part that Roger Livesey turned down of the Squire went to Eric Portman in the end. I hope you've followed all of that. I'm a little lost in where I am in my script, because there is a script, but this is like the last intro I made. This is also day 2, and I'm just going to carry on because I really want to just get this done. All right, that's the casting. The Ministry of Information told Michael Powell and Pressburger they didn't have any Technicolor film, as that was all being used to make training films for the war effort. So they had to make it in black and white. And Michael Powell went back to the cinematographer Irwin Hiller, who he'd used on The Edge of the World. And Hiller's cinematography is part of what makes this such a visually beautiful film. It's all dusty lights and orchards and country lanes and hedgerows, and it's all shadows and light, and which perhaps would have looked a little gaudy in Technicolor, but instead there's a real lovely softness to it. And Hiller was a cloud nut apparently, and wouldn't film if there was a clear sky. He would wait until clouds came by. Don't know why, but that's what he did. So it's shot in the summer of 1943, released in 1944, and was a big flop. It was Powell and Pressburger's first flop, and in Michael Powell's words, he said, "The story and premise failed to hold the audiences. The Americans were already overseas, fighting their way through Sicily and up Italy. The centre of interest has shifted to the continent, and the values we tried to discuss were already old hat." And it wasn't until the BFI held a retrospective of Powell and Pressburger's films in 1977 that it was recognised as, to quote Michael Powell, "one of our most original, iconoclastic and entertaining films. We had been defensive about A Canterbury Tale for so long that even we were surprised. After all, what's 33 years?" And that seems a good note to end on. I hope you enjoy the film. Couple of interesting facts. Look out for a very young Charles Hawtrey, and also there's a fantastic scene at the start with a hawk. And I'll just leave it at that. I don't want to spoil it, but I'm sure Stanley Kubrick must have seen that scene. And that is it. Thank you for watching, and take care, viddy well, and see you soon. Bye bye.